Just want to let you lot know that if you're watching this clip on the Fozcast YouTube channel, the full episode is now available to watch exclusively on Spotify, and it's free. Come on.
There's our boy Scotty Powell. How do players' boots and goalie gloves deals work with brands? How strict are the rules?
Pretty strict. Yeah, pretty strict. You so the most of the time, unless you're a real exceptional player, then you will get to wear kind of what colour of boots you want to wear. But for the majority of players, when the new colourway comes out, you get sent 3 pairs. So if the colourway has to be worn on the Saturday, you will get sent them the beginning of that week on the Monday, Tuesday, whatever. You'll get sent 3 pairs, probably 2 sets of moulds and a studs, or 2 studs and a mould, whatever. And then you will have to wear that new colourway on the Saturday. You have to. It's in your contract because that new colourway of boot is being launched. You have to show it, exhibit it on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon. It's as simple as that.
So when you were with, so you always wore Sal's goalie gloves during your career, and you had a boot deal with Nike.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So 2 separate things. With Nike, for example, could you wear, like, when you're out and about off pitch, could you wear Adidas trainers?
No, again, it depends what level of athlete you are. If you're somebody that's going to get pictured an awful lot, if you're, if you're a
Marcus Rashford,
if you're sponsored by Nike, the only sportswear brand you can wear is Nike. You can't be seen in an Adidas or Reebok or anything. You can wear other brands, like he's got a sponsorship there with Louis Vuitton, I think, hasn't he? So he could wear them shoes, but the actual sportswear brand is Nike, and you have to stick by that. Don't get me wrong, if you're like a player of my sort of stature, you could get away with wearing whatever trainers you wanted, really, because that even if you did get pictured in it, Nike wouldn't really even say anything about it, because it's not going to make too many ripples or anything like that. Yeah. Who were you sponsored by the way?
I had a few. So remember the old Copas?
Yes.
Growing up, YTS was Copas, free Copas. So
World
I
Cup
loved
and
them.
Copas.
World Cup was class growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
But then I went to the Puma Kings because of the leather.
Yeah.
So I loved the leather.
Class.
I liked the tongue. Old school. And they were no one was ever beating them back in the day.
They were lovely, weren't they?
But then I
Umbro
finished
Speciales.
Umbro Speciales.
Oh, the leather on the Umbro Speciales. Michael Owen
Puma
back in the
Kings
day.
were
Puma
iconic
Kings,
though, weren't
Puma
they?
Kings were iconic at the time. But then I finished with Adidas just because I loved the boot itself.
Okay.
Yeah, but like you're talking, it depend on the player as well, wasn't it? With the boot, I mean, they'll send you all the colours, but it's the leather, it's the right fit.
That's it,
so as long as you're sending me the colours, I want the same boot.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's got to be that boot all the time.
Players are very sort of superstitious with, you will pick a model of boot and you are wearing that model of boot. So if you wear a Puma King, there's no, like Adidas now will do like a striker version, or Adidas and Nike will do like a striker version. They'll do like a midfielder version, and then they'll do like a all-rounder kind of thing, which is basically for defenders and goalies and stuff like that. Like just kick it as far as you can. But if you wear that sort of boot, you don't wear the other type of it or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? You pick a boot based on what you like, and that's it. You stick to that. So but you name some of the boots there. Like, do youth team players or young players still get that sort of PFA thing where you get 2 sets of boot, like a set of boot or 2 sets of boots at the start of the season?
What's this then? Tell us what this is.
They get a PFA card. So they get a PFA card where they can, well, now as well, they can spend their money on what boot they want or what they want to. But if you've got like you say, a lot of young lads now have boot deals, so they'll get sent their boots.
So what is the PFA card?
So it's a PFA card. It's like a £350 gift voucher that they send out to all the young players or senior players as well. I think get it now.
Yeah, they get it now as well.
Is just to go and spend stuff on what they want on the website. So it's like Pro Direct. So
and you can pick what you want. But back in the day, you never used to get a card or anything like that. You'd basically get a pair of Adidas World Cup studs, and you'd get a pair of Adidas Copa Mundial molds is what you'd get.
Could you wear the same set of boots all season?
Yes, easily. Yeah, easily. Yeah. The my favourite ever boots were Nike CTR 360s. They were just they were beautiful, absolute beautiful. I think it was like kangaroo leather, Kanga-like leather or something.
Nice,
phenomenal.
Right, I've got a question from Desdemonian. I'll ask this one to you, Robbo, because you mentioned last time about Vancouver, was it? You were close to signing him?
Toronto.
Toronto, sorry.
Yeah.
Ever fancied a move outside of the country? So how did the Toronto thing come about? How old were you? And how close was it?
I was 30, so I just left Bolton. So my contract ran out at Bolton, and I didn't have a club. And Danny Dicchio was working in the academy out there, who I played with at West Brom. And Paul Mariner at the time was the manager of Toronto. So he just sort of phoned me up and he just said, look, what are you thinking? We'd like to have you out here for 5 days just to come out and just have a look at the facilities and train with the team and also just show you around the city. So I took my 2 eldest, so Luke and Jamie come out with me and Caroline, and they sorted us all out and they looked after us amazingly. So yeah, we flew out to Toronto and it was unreal. It was brilliant and I loved every minute of it. But the downside to it is that you're over the other side of the world, and family-wise for me, logistics, Caroline was just about to start her own business in acupuncture as well, and it just didn't feel right for me. So yeah, but the opportunity was close, but it just wasn't. Me as a player, I just didn't feel it was right for me and the family. That was the way I looked at it. But yeah, the opportunity was there to go out and sign for Toronto. Yeah,
it's a massive upheaval, isn't it? It's a massive upheaval.
It's like any job. Take football out of it. If you're living in a certain area and you've got kids and you've got a family network around you, it could be grandparents, brothers, sisters, cousins. It's really important, right?
Yeah, well, moving to the Midlands from being down south anyway, from Watford, was a big upheaval for us anyway, to sort of leave your family behind, knowing that you've now not got that support system around you. But then the thought of now travelling all the way over to Toronto and not basically seeing anybody would be that would be a big move for us.
Yeah, a bit too much.
But it had to be right. These moves had to be right for you and your family.
I think that's, speaking to you over the years, Ben, that's probably one, not a regret, but some little niggle that maybe you wish you did. But is it fair to say that it just didn't quite fall into place?
Yeah, again, it's all of that family side of it. It's the football side of it. It's timings. It's timings as well. Everything has to fall into place at the right time. You don't get many. That's why there's not many players that actually end up playing abroad.
Especially in America, because the seasons are quite awkward, aren't they?
Yeah,
contractually.
Exactly. Yeah, they're sort of, they overlap each other. But also everybody knows that England really is the place to be, isn't it, to play football? And it's always been a case, especially in my career, that there's always been another contract on offer in England, which is kind of, it just makes everything easier, really. So the opportunity kind of arose a few times towards the very end of my career, the very end. But again, to do it, same as you, Robbie, the upheaval of it all was probably just a little bit too much than what the opportunity was.
No, fair enough. Okay, we've got one here from Nick's Fells. The one person you most want on the podcast, Ben?
Cool, that's a really good question.
That's a good one.
That's a really, really good question.
Can I throw mine in there?
Yeah, go on.
Started to get into a lot of American sport recently, more so, and we've been watching loads of documentaries, haven't we? And the 2 brothers in the NFL, Jason and Travis Kelce, they played each other in the Super Bowl final last year, and they've got the biggest sports podcast in the world, right? Called New Heights. It's unbelievable podcast. Really cool guys.
Yeah, very cool guys.
Those 2 would be the dream for me.
Maybe a Lance Armstrong. I'd like a Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
I'd like your cycling. I was thinking of golf. You like your golf? Maybe like someone like an Ian Poulter.
Oh, someone like
Tommy
that.
Fleetwood.
Good,
I'd like to see Tommy Fleetwood because he's got lovely hair.
Yeah, Tommy has got lovely hair.
He's
just you can tell he's just a nice, clean human.
Nice guy. Lovely guy.
Yeah, he looks clean.
But
I'd like to get Lance on. So there's a Lance Armstrong documentary that's out on Disney Plus. It's been out a couple of years now.
Yeah,
couple 3 years. But it's basically a very open, honest account of what's happened with Lance Armstrong himself. So he bears everything. He tells the truth, and he tells the majority of the truth, I presume, from watching it. But there's so many questions I had left unanswered about the way he went about his business, and I want to know a bit more how much the remorse of it all and how much it affected him mentally and how he dealt with it and he overcame all that, because at one point he was the most hated man in the world, genuinely, like within sport especially anyway. At one point when it all came clear and he did that Oprah interview where he said, yes, I have been taking performance enhancing drugs, that there was like, there's no coming back here. There's no coming back for Lance Armstrong. So yeah, I think something like that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm with you kind of on that.
He's a fascinating human being.
Isn't he?
Oh, he's a fascinating human being.
He really is. Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this clip of the Fozcast. If you would like to watch the full episode, it is now available exclusively on Spotify for free.